Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, I want to quickly talk about the MongoDB and introduce it to you. To do that, I'll talk about first the SQL and the NoSQL databases, and I'll compare both of these together. After that, I'll talk about the MongoDB itself and its structure, and quickly I'll talk about its features. And after that, I'll talk about the Json and what is the Json and its usage in the MongoDB. So after this tutorial, you're going to learn the concept of the MongoDB, the SQL, and the NoSQL databases. So let's get started. First, I talked about this structure and also how to use the MySQL and the SQL inside the Python. To do that, I'll talk about many great tips and tricks and features. And the next database is the MongoDB. The MongoDB is a completely different database. Why? Because it is the NoSQL database. But currently, we don't know anything about the NoSQL databases. So let's talk about the SQL and the NoSQL databases. Come over here and let's select this and come to the top. So the question is, what is the SQL and the NoSQL databases? Generally speaking, we have two main databases, the SQL and the NoSQL databases. Till now, we talked about the SQL databases, and the SQL databases are relational and based on the tables. And the most common and the famous SQL databases are the Microsoft SQL Server, the MySQL, the Oracle, and so on. So in the SQL databases, we have the tables. And this is, for instance, it is the SQL Server. We have the database, then the tables, and inside the tables, we have the columns, and you can see the columns, something like this. Also, all of the data are inside the tables, including the rows and the columns. So this is the relational database, and we call it the SQL. We have the similar structure in the different databases like the MySQL and the Oracle. So we can say the SQL databases are relational and based on the tables. And the next one is, in the SQL databases, we have the structured query language, or the SQL, and have the predefined schema. Let's talk more about it. In the SQL databases, we have the similar and the common language to get access to the database. For instance, if I want to load the data, I have the select query. And if I want to delete the records, I have the delete query. And also, if I take a look at this example, we have the CRUD operations, or the queries, to insert, select, update, and the delete. So if you want to get access to the data in the SQL databases, then we need to run the SQL query. And the SQL query is the common language between the different SQL databases, like the Microsoft SQL, MySQL, or Oracle. So we have the common language, and it is the SQL. And also we have the predefined schema. It means everything should be defined inside the database. For instance, first we need to define the database itself, then the table, then the columns, and the rows. So all of these are defined schemas. Now let's go over here. And the SQL is not too flexible model. In the SQL databases, if you want to change something inside your table, for instance, suppose I have the ID first name up to the peak and the comment in this table, the employee info. And suppose I want to change the surname or its data type. Then we need to come over here and open your table and get inside the design. And inside your design, you need to change the data type or the name. To do that, most of the cases, we can't do it easily. And we need to delete the records or change some existing data inside the database, and many other difficulties. So we can say that the SQL databases aren't too flexible. But what about the NoSQL databases? In the NoSQL databases, we haven't any kind of the predefined structure. So the NoSQL databases are non-relational and based on the documents and the key values and so on. For better understanding, let's take a quick look at the MongoDB. It is one of the most common NoSQL databases between the programmers. So in the NoSQL databases, we haven't any kind of the tables. And here I have the SQL databases, including the database, tables, rows, and the columns. But in the MongoDB or the NoSQL databases, we have the database itself, and inside it we have the collections. And the collections, then we have the documents based on the Json. I'll talk about the Json and the fields. So the structure of the MongoDB is completely different than the SQL databases, or we can say the structure of the NoSQL databases are completely different than the SQL databases. And inside the NoSQL databases like the MongoDB, we haven't any kind of the tables. So we have the files and the documents, something like this. We have it like this, and it includes the keys and the values. It is like the dictionary inside the Python. So all of my data should be saved by the JSON format, the key and the value. But in the SQL, we have the table, and you can see something like this. But inside the MongoDB or the NoSQL, we have another different format. For better understanding, let's take a quick look at the Compass. The Compass is the application to get access and to start working with the MongoDB. So we have the table, and inside it I have the collection. You can see the collection something like this, and inside the collection I have the data. Each record is the document, and inside the document I have the key and the value. This is the JSON format, like this, this, and this. So the structure of the NoSQL database is completely different than the SQL databases. Now let's come over here and come to this one. In the NoSQL databases, we have the dynamic schemas for the unstructured data. In the modern applications like the messengers or the WhatsApp or the Telegram, also like the Facebook and so on, we can't use the SQL databases because these are completely based on the tables and has a little flexibility. But we need to use a more flexible method in the databases, and it is the NoSQL databases like the Mongo. In the Mongo or the NoSQL databases, we have the flexible structure. This is my first record, for instance, or first document. And I have the F name, L name, age, and the pic, for instance. And in the second row or the document, I have completely different data and the structure. I have the F name and the L name. Also in the next one, I can easily use another structure. So the structure of the NoSQL databases are completely flexible, and we can use the different schemas and structures for each document because we haven't any kind of the rigid tables inside the NoSQL databases. Instead of that, we have the JSON and the Mongo, and we can easily add or remove the columns and the new data inside each document. So it is completely flexible and easy to use. And we have the NoSQL that is too flexible model. I talked about this matter. So the question is, which one is better? Actually, it depends on your needs. For instance, if you want to create the database application like the accounting software or the customer information, and you need to use a fixed pattern, then the SQL database is great for you. But if you want to design something like the WhatsApp application or the website that the data are different based on the users or based on the customers, then the NoSQL is great for you. But the next question is, what is the MongoDB? It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about what is the MongoDB. The MongoDB is one of the most popular NoSQL databases. So we can say the MongoDB is a NoSQL database. It means we haven't any kind of the tables, rows, and the columns. Instead of that, we have the collections, documents, and the fields. Let's take a quick look at its structure. We have the MongoDB. Its structure is something like this. We have the collections instead of the table, and inside each collection we have the documents instead of the rows. So I have the documents for each collection, and inside the document instead of the columns we have the fields. The fields are something like the dictionary key. So it's really simple and a straightforward matter. And you can see the structure of the MongoDB over here, the collections, the documents, and the key values inside the documents. For better understanding, let's take a quick look at the example over here. This is the Compass, the editor of the MongoDB. So we have the database, then the collection. It is something like the table. And inside my collections, I have the documents. So I have the document something like this, and it is the Json format. So this is the first record, second record, up to the end. And one of the most important features of the MongoDB or the NoSQL is the flexibility. So we can use the different fields and the data for each document. Over here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns and the fields for my first data and the record. Then in my next document I have only 3 items, and in the next I can use 3 or less or more. So I'm completely free to use any type of the schema for each document without any problem. And we can easily use with this structure and search the data using this option. Easily write your field name and the value to search. So this is the quick tour about the MongoDB. Now let's go over here, and the MongoDB stores the data in the JSON-like document. As I told you, we haven't any tables like the SQL tables. So we have the JSON-like. And what is the JSON? I'll talk about it later. And it is something like this. And we can call it a kind of the dictionary in the Python, the key and the value. So we're gonna save the data inside the JSON structure. Later I'll talk about it, so don't worry about anything. And we have something like this. All of my data are saved in the JSON format, and we have some example here up to the end. But in the SQL we have the table including the columns and the rows. And what about the next one? The MongoDB database is very flexible and scalable. Why? Because it is based on the documents and the JSON language. And also the MongoDB can support huge volume of the both data and the traffic. Because of the structure of the MongoDB, we can use it to save and load the big data or a lot of data easily and quickly. And also we can use the MongoDB to work with the high traffic of the data easily and quickly. But in the SQL databases, we can't do it. We can't work with the huge number of records or the data. So as I told you, we can use the MongoDB in the applications like the WhatsApp or any other messengers or any other applications that needs the huge volumes of the data and the traffic. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now we learned the structure of the Mongo and a lot of amazing and great features of it. And for better understanding, we need to learn the JSON. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. In this video, I want to quickly talk about the JSON. The next question and the last one is, what is the JSON? The JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation, or the language for saving and retrieving the data based on the JavaScript language. So we can say the JSON is a kind of JavaScript structure to import and export the data. The JSON is the text format for saving and transporting the data. And the JSON is self-describing and easy to understand. So the JSON has a really simple structure. We have the curly braces at the top and the bottom, and inside it we have something like the dictionary in the Python. So the key and the value. The next one, key and the value, all of these are separated by the comma. So we can use the different types of the data. For instance, we can save the name, the age, and also all the matters. So we have the keys and the values. The full name, the Sarah. The age is 24. So the first one is the string and the next one is integer. And also I have the string for my job. Then the city is the string. Also we can use in all the data types like the arrays or the list inside the Python. So the JSON is really great format and the structure to import and export the data between the different applications and the softwares. Suppose you have some data like this, and we have something like this, and I want to export all of this data to another application. Then we can easily use the text files like the XML or the text file itself or the CSV format. But also we can use the JSON format. And one of the most important formats between the programmers to import and export data is the JSON because it is self-describing and easy to understand. My intention of this tutorial is not talking about how to start working with the JSON. I just want to quickly introduce it to you for better understanding of the structure of the MongoDB. So in the MongoDB, we have the JSON format. So the key and the value. The key and the value up to the end. Okay, excellent. Congratulations. Now we learned more about the JSON. And what about the next steps? In the next steps, I'll talk about how to get started working with the MongoDB in the Python. To do that, in my upcoming tutorials, I'll talk about how to download and install the MongoDB, then start working with it inside the Python. So with many great tips and tricks, I'm waiting for you. Don't hesitate to join me. Thanks for your time. Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to easily start working with the MongoDB by talking about how to download the MongoDB on your computer. So let's get started. Till now, I talked about the MongoDB and also the JSON and the structure of the MongoDB, and I compared the SQL and the NoSQL databases. And as I told you, one of the most common and famous NoSQL databases is the MongoDB. So the MongoDB is used by the Python in many great and amazing applications. To do that, at the first step, we need to learn how to work with the MongoDB. And what about the first step? The first step is talking about how to download and install it. Then I'll talk about how to download and install the Compass and how to start working with the MongoDB and the Compass, including how to start using the Compass, how to add the database, add the collection, and also I'll talk about the JSON, and finally how to add the document via the JSON, and many other great and amazing topics and tips and tricks. So let's get started working with the MongoDB by downloading it. To do that, come over here and open up my Google. Fortunately, we can easily and quickly download and install the MongoDB. To do that, search the download MongoDB and get inside the mongodb.com. And in the mongodb.com, currently I have something like this interface. Maybe in the future you have other website and other structure on the mongodb.com. But the interface of the website is not important matter because we want only to download and install the MongoDB and other softwares. So at the first step, try to find the download link. Currently, I have the software. Click on the software menu and I have the community server. Also, I have the developer tools, and finally, I have the Compass. So let's select the community server. To do that, come over here, and this is my community server. And currently, the MongoDB has two main versions, the enterprise and the community server. The community server is free and you can easily and quickly and freely indeed download and install it. And one of the great and amazing features, despite all the databases like the Microsoft SQL Server, is that we can easily install the MongoDB on the different platforms. So we have the latest version over here, the version 5.0.1. Then I have the platform, and this is the Windows 10, so I need to use the Windows. If I scroll down, I have the Windows at the last item over here. Also, I have the different versions of the Linux and also the Red Hat and the Mac OS, and all of these are available easily and quickly for working with the Mongo. So let's select the Windows. Also, you can select your own operating system. For instance, if you're using the Mac OS and want to install it on your Mac OS, you can select the Mac OS. Or if you want to work with the Red Hat, so select the Red Hat. And all of these are available for you. So in the Windows, I have two options, the MSI and the zip. The MSI is the default installation file format. You can select the MSI, and in this option, the extension of the file is MSI. Also, you can use the zip, no matter and no problem. So let's select the MSI. Now I have the download and I can easily download my file. So let's get started. And after that, I have the next option. If I come over here, come to the next one, and in the software, I have the Compass. The Compass is the editor or the management tool for working with the MongoDB and the MongoDB server. So I have the MongoDB Compass and click on it, try it now. You can see more information and the features of the Compass over here. So if I come to this web page, and this is the MongoDB Compass. The MongoDB indeed is the GUI or GUI for the MongoDB, and we can easily start working with it. For better understanding, let's open up the Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio, and let's be patient. So I have the SQL Server Management Studio, and I can use the SQL Server Management Studio to get it start working with the SQL Server databases, including adding the database or the tables or running the different queries. And totally we can use the SQL Server Management Studio to manage and work with my databases. So we have something like this and similar to the Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio, and its name is MongoDB Compass. So my next download is the Compass. First, come over here and select the version that you want, and I want to select the latest version, so select this one. And after that, I have the platform, and based on your need, you can select your favorite operating system. And I want to work with the Windows 64-bit and also the MSI version. Also, you can use the zip version and so on, no matter. And after that, I have the package, and it is the MSI based on this selection. And the next step is click on the download. So let's get started. And after downloading the Compass, it's time to download another great option, and it is the new MongoDB Shell. So come over here and come to this one, come to the software and the developer tools. In the developer tools, I can get access to the most common tools that are developed for working with the MongoDB. For instance, the MongoDB Compass, as I told you, and also I have the MongoDB Shell and the MongoDB for the Visual Studio Code. Currently, I don't need to work with the Visual Studio Code, so let's leave it. And I talked about the Compass The next one is the MongoDB Shell. So click on it. You know what? By default, you can get started working with the MongoDB after installing the MongoDB server. But the MongoDB has the newer version and the updated version of the MongoDB command prompt or the MongoDB Shell to work with the MongoDB, like finding the data and managing the databases and all the tools. By the new version of the MongoDB Shell, we can get access to more tools and features while working with the MongoDB databases. So if I click on the download now, and let's be patient, by default we have the MongoDB Shell that is installed, but it's not really great one, and in the near future it will be stopped from updating. So it's a really great idea to use the MongoDB Shell. Now I have something like this, and let's be patient, the version, and after that the operating system or the platform, and you can select one of these options based on your needs. And I have all the options, and you can see all of these over here. So I want to work with the Windows, select this, the 64-bit, 8.1, and newer versions, and also the MSI package. Also you can select the next one. And finally I have the package that is based on my selection and the download. Currently I downloaded the MongoDB Compass, the MongoDB for the Windows, and the MongoDB Shell or Mongosh. Mongosh means MongoDB Shell. And don't forget, it's not necessary to download and install the MongoDB Shell, and it is completely optional. But based on the announcement of the MongoDB in the near future, the support for the old and the legacy version of the MongoDB Shell will be stopped and discontinued. So it's a really great option to get started working with the new version of the MongoDB Shell, and it is the Mongosh. In my upcoming tutorials, I don't want to talk about how to work with the MongoDB Shell, because I want to work with the MongoDB Compass, and it's really great tools and feature of the MongoDB. So don't worry about anything, and let's get started working with it. The download process is time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. Everything is done. Now I have 3 different files: the Compass, the MongoDB server, and also the Mongosh or the MongoDB Shell. Congratulations, everything is done, and the next step is talking about how to install all of these options. Indeed, if I come over here, currently I downloaded the MongoDB, the Compass, and also the MongoDB Shell or the Mongosh. It's time consuming, so let's talk about it in my upcoming tutorial. Stay with me. Hello and welcome. In this video I want to talk about how to easily install the MongoDB and start working with it. So let's get started. First, I talked about how to download the MongoDB server, the MongoDB Compass, and also the MongoDB Shell. In this video, I want to talk about the first step, how to install the MongoDB. It's a really important part, indeed, the main part of working with the MongoDB. So come over here, and I have 3 different files. The first one is the MongoDB server, the next one is MongoDB Compass, and the last one is Mongosh or the Mongo Shell. So let's start working with the MongoDB. Currently I'm working with the Windows 10, and as I told you, you can use the installer of the MongoDB for different platforms. Currently I'm working with the Windows. So let's get started working with the MongoDB server. Indeed, before doing anything, we need to install the MongoDB server. It is something like the SQL server. And let's be patient. So this is the welcome screen. Come to the next, and the license agreement, and come to the next. And here I have 2 options. Do you want to install the MongoDB completely, or you want to customize your installation? Personally, I prefer to use the complete to install everything on my computer. So click on this, In this window, we need to set some settings and the configurations. At the top, I have the install MongoDB as the service. Do you want to install it as the service or not? Currently, I assume that you are familiar with the Windows service. If you don't know anything about it, let's take a quick look at the Windows service. Indeed, we have two types of the applications. First, the normal application that you can easily install it here and run it, like for instance the Access or the Audacity or anything like the calculator and other applications. For instance, if I click on the calculator, this is the normal application, and we have the GUI or GUI, the interface that I can interact with my application. But in some other applications, we haven't any interface like this. Instead of that, we have the Windows service that can execute some operations and functions, but haven't any kind of interface. So let's close this and come over here and right click, come to the task manager on the Windows 10, and here I have the services. Indeed, the services are the applications that haven't any kind of the interface. Currently, if I come to the S and the SQL server, if I scroll down, I have the SQL agent and the SQL server for my SQL 2019. This is the service that is responsible for working with the SQL 2019. And also I have the SQL browser, and all of this has the own and dedicated functions and operations. For instance, if you click on the SQL Server 2019, we have something like this GUI. Let's be patient for loading the SQL Management Studio. And this is my SQL Server Management Studio, or the GUI of it. And if I click on the connect, indeed this application will connect to the SQL Server in the back behind. And if you click on the databases, so all of these operations are done by communicating with this service, the SQL Server, and this one indeed. So this is the quick tour about the Windows services, the applications without any interfaces. And also if I come over here and let's select the O, and here I have the Oracle, that it is, you can see, for working with the Oracle. And also I have the Oracle service here and the writer over here. If you want to work with the Oracle databases, then everything will be done by these services. And also I have all of these services. For instance, if I come to the next, and here I have another SQL servers like the MS SQL servers and MySQL service, something like this, for working with the MySQL databases. So the Windows services are really important part of the Windows and other applications like the Microsoft SQL Server, the MySQL, or the Oracle, and many other applications. So if I close this, also I can come to the search and say the services. So I have the services, and if I click on it, here I have the list of the currently installed services on my Windows and the computer. I can start working with all of this easily and quickly. Indeed, we don't need to work with this directly. Instead of working directly with these services, we need to run other applications. So let's close this. And what about the question? And my question was, what is the service? So do you want to install the MongoDB as the service? Yes, of course. Then you can easily start working with it anytime and anywhere on this computer without any initializing. But if you uncheck this, then you need to initialize and run the MongoDB service every time you want to work with it. So I strongly recommend you to install your MongoDB as the Windows service. Then you can start working with it anytime and anywhere. After selecting it, I have two other options: run service as the network service or run as the local. Let's talk about it later. And the next step is service name, the name of service that you wanna install on your computer. Now if I come over here and come to the services here and write the services, or you can get access to it from the task manager and write the S. So in this column we have the name of my services, and This is, for instance, the SQL Server service, and its name is my_server, or the MS SQL Server, or the SQL Express 2019. So you can easily define the name of your service inside this text box, and over here by default it is the MongoDB. You can change it or you can leave it by default. I have two other options: the data directory to save the data inside it. By default it is inside the program files, MongoDB folder, server, and the 5.0, the current version of the MongoDB server, and the data folder. Also I have the log directory or folder for saving the log files of the MongoDB. So it is inside the MongoDB and the same folder up to the log. Personally, I prefer to use these by default. Also, you can change it based on your needs. And what about the last step? The last step is the service user. By default, it is run service as the network service user. What is the network service user? The network service user is the default user that is inside the Windows or built-in user and has access to the network, and you can run it with the predefined permissions, and we don't need to assign any permission to it. So in most of the cases, this option is great for running the Windows services. And if I come over here and come to the services, for instance, and this is the services, or you can come to the start, come to this and come to this PC, right click on it and manage. So I have the manage list patient. Here I have the users, local users, and the users. I have all of these users. And also if I come to the groups, and for instance, if I select the administrators, and here I can add the new one, come to the advanced. This is not important to memorize all of this. I just want to show you where is the location of the network user. So come to find now, and here I have something like this, and if I scroll down, and the network service. So you can run your Windows service by the default network service. It has the predefined permissions to get access to the network as the anonymous user, and also some other permissions to run the services successfully. And is it important to memorize all of this? No, it's not important matter. You can easily leave all of this, and it is only for quick review or more information about the users. And the question is it enough for us? Yes, the network service user is a great option to run the most of Windows services. And also we can use our own user. So select this, and inside the account domain, we can add the dots if we want to work with the local users. Currently, if I come to the users, all of these are the local users. For instance, the me is my local user, so I can get to start working with it. Or you can use the domain users. Currently, I'm not connected to any domain, so I need to add the dot over here. And the dot here means this user is the local user. So the account name, currently I have the me over here, and I need to use the me. Then the account password, and this is my account password, and this is. Now if I come to the next, everything is done. And if I come to the back and write something wrong like this, let's change the password to the wrong one, come to the next. So I have this error. The domain, username, and the password aren't correct. So remember to use the dot for the domain if your account is in the local machine. So currently I added the dot over here because I want to work with the default or the local machine and the local users. So this is my user. You can see it over here inside my users, and also the password, and I can write the correct password, come to the next without any problem. But as I told you, it's a really great option to use the default network service user. Now everything is done, and indeed the only thing we need is check this checkbox and this, and leave all of this by default if we don't want to argue with all of this, and come to the next. In this window we need to install the MongoDB Compass. the MongoDB Compass is indeed the GUI or the management for working with the MongoDB. For instance, we can add the database and all of this inside the Compass. And it is something like this. Currently, I installed it inside the VirtualBox. So, do you want to install this Compass for managing your databases or not? And if I come over here, and where are you? I lost it. And this is the installation. Currently, I downloaded the MongoDB Compass. Previously, I talked about it, and I have the file over here, the MongoDB Compass. So we don't need to download and install it. Uncheck this. If you currently didn't download the MongoDB Compass, you can check this. But personally, I prefer to install it separately and come to the next. And everything is ready for you. Do you want to install it? Yes, of course, do it. And the only thing we need is the patience. So after a couple of minutes or the seconds, everything will be installed on my computer. So stay with me. Welcome back. My MongoDB is installed successfully and the finish. But as I told you, despite of all the databases like the Oracle or the SQL Server and the MySQL, we haven't any management studio or the application to manage our databases. So we need to install the next option, and it is the MongoDB Compass. I'll talk about it in my upcoming tutorials. So the next step is checking if the MongoDB installed successfully or not. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to check if the MongoDB installed successfully or not. So let's dig in. Come over here and at the first step, come to the search and write the services. And this is the services. As I told you, by default, the MongoDB is installed as the Windows service. So write the M, and here I have the MongoDB server, and its name is MongoDB. And its status is running and automatic, and login as the network service. And also some description over here. So I talked about the network service and it's completely running, and if I double click on it, in this window I can get access to the settings of the MongoDB. Currently I'm a lucky programmer because my MongoDB is running perfectly and completely over here. But sometimes the service won't be run automatically. So if I come and stop this, after a couple of seconds, my service is stopped. So you can see running over here. If you got something like this over here by default on your computer after installing the MongoDB, don't hesitate to set the startup type to the automatic, this one. And after that, you can start it. So this is. And if you can't successfully run and start your MongoDB service, click OK, restart your computer and check all of this from scratch. And if you haven't any problem on your computer, after restarting your computer, the MongoDB will start automatically. And we have the running over here. The running here means everything is working perfectly and is ready for me. So don't forget to restart your computer. It's a really important tip and trick. Now I have the MongoDB server, and after that it's time to start working with it. To do that, I can come to the command prompt here and say the CMD. Right click on the CMD and run as administrator. It's a really important matter to run your terminal or your CMD command prompt as the administrator. By default, it is inside the Windows and System 32. As I told you, if I come over here, come to the PC and inside the drive C and the program files, I selected the MongoDB folder over here. So this is my MongoDB, click on it. I have the server, inside it I have the version, and here I have the bin data log. We have selected the data and the log folder in the installation. Also I have the bin or the binary folder. So inside the bin folder, I have all of the executable files for working with the MongoDB. The most common and the famous one is mongo.exe. In the next step, we need to run the mongo.exe to get access and to get it start working with the Mongo database. It's a really important matter. So we need to use this one and the path of my mongo.exe. Right click on it, come to the copy. And inside the terminal or the command prompt, I need to use the cd. cd means hello command prompt. I want to get inside this folder. So paste the folder and this one. And if I press enter, take a look at this and this. Now my command prompt default location is inside the bin folder, exactly over here. The only thing I need to run the MongoDB and get access to the MongoDB databases is writing the mongo.exe. And let's write mongo.exe. And currently this is the small font, and right click over here at the top and come to the properties and the font. So let's select the 28 and click OK. Now it's bigger and it's really eye friendly. So I have the mongo.exe. Also I can increase its size, it's not a matter. I can do it easily and come to the font and come to this one and say for instance the 30 or 32 and click OK. So it's bigger now, and if I press enter, wow, congratulations, everything is done and we have the welcome message, welcome to MongoDB Shell. And this is the default MongoDB Shell or the default application for working with the MongoDB. But based on this announcement, we can't use this application and shell in the future a lot because the new shell will be replaced with this one, and it was indeed the Mongosh or MongoDB Shell. So if I take a look at the warning here, variety warning, the Mongo shell will be replaced by the Mongosh, and all of this about the warning. So let's come over here, and at the first step I can use the help command and say help, and this is the result. In this list I can see the different available codes and commands and the functions for working with the MongoDB. For instance, the db.help, the db.mycolumn.help up to the end, and also show DBs, show collections, users up to the end. For instance, if you want to see the current available databases, you can write the show space dbs databases, show the database names. So if you want to show the database names, you can use the show dbs. Let's write show dbs and press enter. So I have the admin, config, and the local. All of these are the currently installed and currently created databases and the size of them. And also I can use the next one, for instance, the show users, and let's write show users. And here I can see the available information about the command show users in the current database, and press enter. So nothing over here. And also I need to change the current database. For instance, I can select the admin user by what? By using the use. The use, then the database name, set current database. So I can say the use what? Use, for instance, the admin. So this is the admin, and press enter. Now my first or default database is the admin. So I can use the show users, and let's write the show users. I'm using my previous codes by the up and down arrow keys. Indeed, by this, let's be patient, up and down. So let's select this, and currently my default database is admin. Let's see the reaction and the response. So press enter and nothing. And also I can use the exit to quit the Mongo shell. Let's write the exit. Indeed, I don't want to talk about how to work with the MongoDB shell, and instead of that I'm going to talk about how to use the Compass. So the Compass is really user-friendly. Now I quitted the MongoDB shell. And also if I want to work with it one more time, let's write Mongo and indeed this one, the mongo.exe. Let's try the name without the exe. So select this and press enter. And after a couple of seconds, it is running. So I can write the help one more time, and this is also I can get access to all of these commands one by one. So this was the quick tour about how we can work with the default MongoDB shell for working with the MongoDB. Indeed, in the back behind, when I run one of these options, the MongoDB service will get this command and execute and return the value over here. Then you can see the result here inside the shell or inside the command prompt. Congratulations, everything is done. Now we know more about how to install the MongoDB and how to start working with the default MongoDB shell. Later in my upcoming tutorials, I'll talk about how to use the shell or the MongoDB shell to create the databases and add the data inside it and read the data and find the values. So don't worry about anything and just focus on your learning and tutorial. So it's your turn. Go ahead and start installing your own and dedicated MongoDB server on your computer and stay with me with my great upcoming tutorial. Thanks for your time. Hey everybody, welcome back. In this video I want to talk about how to easily install the MongoDB Compass on your computer. So let's get started. First I talked about how to download and install the MongoDB server, and also I talked about how to download the Compass and the Mongosh. In this video I want to talk about the next step and how to work with the Compass. So I have 3 files. The first one is the MongoDB. I talked about it in my previous tutorial. And also I have the Mongosh and the MongoDB Compass. Let's get start working with the Compass. As I told you, the Compass is the graphical interface to work with the MongoDB. So I have something like this after installing it on my computer. Previously I talked about the default shell of the MongoDB and how to work with it to get start working with the MongoDB. So this is my Compass, and if I click on it, let's be patient. So this is the welcome screen. Come to the next. Installing of the MongoDB Compass is really simple and straightforward. It is inside the C program files MongoDB Compass. You can easily change it, or like me, leave it by default. Come to the next, and everything is ready for us. So let's get started installing it and install. And after a couple of minutes or seconds, the Compass will be installed on this computer. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. Now I have installed the MongoDB Compass successfully on this computer. Click on the finish, and after that come to this and come to the PC and get inside the location of the installation and the program files, and after that the MongoDB Compass. Click on it. And in this folder I have all of these files that belongs to the Compass. And after that we can easily start working with the MongoDB Compass and click on it. Also you can right click on it and run the software as the administrator if you've got any unexpected errors. And let's be patient. And don't forget, running and initializing the Compass needs a lot of times, so you need to be patient. And it's done. Okay, this is the welcome screen. You can select all of these one by one to get familiar with the Compass quickly and easily, or come to the last one, and also you can come and close this. And also I have all of these options to get some feedbacks and information to the Compass or the MongoDB website. So let's uncheck this, and all of this, and start using the Compass. Also, you can leave all of them by default. Welcome to the connection window. In this window, you can easily connect to the database and the MongoDB. You have 2 options. First, you can paste your connection string over here. Currently, we don't know anything about the connection string, so I don't want to mix up you. Just leave this by default and connect. or you can edit that and write your own connection string and confirm. So we need to write the server name, the port, username and password for connecting to the MongoDB, or leave it by default. And also I have the second method, fill in connection fields individually. Click on it, and in this window I can set the host name, the port, and also the authentication, including the username, password, and other options. So let's leave it by default and the none. And by default I have some information for my hostname and the port. And the hostname is the local host and the port is 27017. So you can easily come to the connect and connect to your current MongoDB server. Congratulations, we did it. Now we know how to connect to the MongoDB easily and quickly. So I have some tools and features here, and also some features and more information over here. And you can hide and show your tools here. And also I can come to the connect and the disconnect to disconnect from the MongoDB. Also you can use your own connection string. So click on this and paste anything over here by using the edit button and connect. Currently I want to use the default connection string. The connection string indeed is the text or the string that includes the MongoDB server name, the username, password, and the port, and so on. So let's leave it by default and click on the connect. If you can't use this connection method, don't hesitate to select the second one and come to the connect. And successfully I have something like this, and I have connected to the MongoDB database. Congratulations, we did it. Now we know how to use the Compass to easily and quickly connect to the MongoDB server. And if you can see this window and these tools, and all of these are indeed the default databases, including the admin, config, and the local. It means you are working with the MongoDB successfully, and it means that you have successfully installed the MongoDB server on your computer, and also you have successfully installed the Compass on your computer. So in the next step, we need to get started working with the Compass to create and manage our databases, add the data, delete the data, and so on. It's time consuming, so let's talk about it in my upcoming tutorials. Now we know how to work with the Compass to connect to the MongoDB server and the MongoDB service. Okay, excellent, we did it. So it's certain go ahead and start working with the MongoDB Compass and stay with me with my great upcoming tutorial. Thanks for your time. Hey guys, welcome back. In this video I want to talk about how to easily and quickly install the MongoDB Shell or the Mongosh on your computer and get it start working with it. So let's get started. Previously I talked about how to easily download and install the MongoDB server and also the MongoDB Compass and how to work with them. In this video I want to talk about the Mongosh or MongoDB Shell. By default we have the MongoDB Shell that will be installed on your computer beside your MongoDB server. But based on the announcement of the MongoDB website, it's over and the new MongoDB Shell with new features and tools will be replaced by the legacy or the old version. So in the MongoDB Shell or the Mongosh, we have the syntax highlighting, intelligent autocomplete, contextual help, and clear error messages. These are some part of the new features of the MongoDB Shell or the Mongosh. So it's really great option to download and install the MongoDB Shell on your computer to get it start working with the MongoDB databases. So let's see it. First I talked about how to download the Mongosh. So this is, click on it. The installation of the Mongosh or the MongoDB Shell is really simple and straightforward. So the welcome screen, come to the next. This is the location of the installation or the installation directory. We need this location later. So let's copy this and come to this, new, and the text file. And say Mongosh path. Now come to this one and paste it inside the text file and the save. Later we need to use this, so I saved it inside the text file. Now come to my installation and I can select if the Mongosh will install for this user or all the users on this computer. I want to install only for this user. I meant this, and that my current user is the rec user. So only install for the rec user and come to the next and install. Indeed, the installation of the MongoDB Shell is really simple and straightforward, and the finish. So the Mongosh is installed successfully on my computer. Now let's come over here, select this and copy this path, come to the PC, click on it and paste over here and press enter. Now I have the mongosh.exe. I should execute this, but I can't execute this file directly. Instead of that, I need to use the command prompt or the terminal of my Windows, CMD. Right click on it and run as administrator. Also, you can use the terminal of the Mac OS if you have the Mac operating system. Run as administrator. And now I need to change the current directory. By default, it is on the C Windows System 32. And if I write the Mongosh, so this is, or mongosh.exe, no matter, and press enter. So after a couple of seconds, I have these messages, and this is connecting to what? To this server, indeed the MongoDB server. Let's resize this and also right click over here and properties inside the font, change it to 28 less or more. Now I have a bigger text, and after that I have the MongoDB, the version of it, and the Mongosh 1.0.1. So I have some of the information and also some warning that you can skip the first one because it's not important matter currently. And the next one is warning. I'll talk about how to solve this warning. But before doing anything, let's talk about how we can directly run the mongosh.exe. If I come and write the exit, so exit means hello Mongosh, please exit yourself and stop executing the Mongosh. Now if I write the Mongosh without any extension, so everything is running perfectly. Let's exit one more time. And you know what, previously I talked about how to use the Mongo and how to run it over here. But sometimes we can't run the Mongosh directly. Instead of that, we need to use this location. So copy and come to this one and say the cd. cd means hello command prompt, please change the current folder. Currently it is the Windows System 32, and paste over here and press enter. So it's changed to the Mongosh and indeed to this one. Now I can directly use the mongosh.exe or Mongosh to run the Mongosh shell and say Mongosh. So press enter, and after a couple of seconds we have the same result. But sometimes we can't run the Mongosh directly. If you want to run the Mongosh directly, you need to add some values to the path of your computer. So come over here and inside the search, say the system. This is the system, and you can see it over here inside the control panel. Click on it and scroll down. I need to get access to the advanced settings. So click on it. And here I have the environment variables. Click on it. Over here I have two options. First, the current user, then the system variables. If you want to add the location of your Mongosh to the current user, so don't hesitate to use this one and come over here to this. And if you add something inside the system variables, then every user can get access to it. But I want to only add the path of my Mongosh to this user, so I have the path over here and edit. As you see over here, by default the setup is added the location of the Mongosh over here. But if you can't see this path, then you can't run it directly. Let's delete this, and this is delete. Click OK, OK. Now click OK one more time. And if I come over here and close this, Now let's try cmd. Now right click over here and run as administrator. So if I write the Mongosh directly, so this is the error, and it means that the system can't find the Mongosh. So come to this one and inside it copy, and before doing anything, don't forget to add the cd to change the current directory, and after that say the Mongosh. So I can easily get access to the Mongosh without any problem. And this is a really tricky note. And if you wanna escape this part, indeed changing the current folder, you can easily come to the settings and the system, indeed variety system, advanced system settings, come to the environment variables and come to the path, edit, and add the Mongosh folder. So no and the Mongosh, and click OK and OK and OK. Sometimes we need to restart the computer or log off the computer to reflect the changes. So it's done. Now I can close this or exit, and if I come to this and run the command one more time. I'm talking all of this, why? Because I want to give you the deeper understanding of what's going on inside the Mongosh. So this time I can say Mongosh directly and it's running. It means everything is done. And what about this warning? They found MongoRC.js but not Mongosh RC.js. It means that we have the Mongo shell or the old version of it, and previously I talked about how to run it. So we need to delete this file, and also we need to have this file. Based on my experiences and the research, the Mongo will escape this error in the future updates. So if you wanna escape this and solve this, you can come over here, come to the PC, and after that inside the operating system drive or your Windows drive, come to the users and get inside the current user, direct user. And if I scroll down, currently I have the Mongo RC. This file belongs to the old version of the Mongo shell. So you can rename it or right click on it and delete without any problem. Now I have the command prompt and I need to exit first, then run the Mongosh one more time, Mongosh. So press enter. Now I haven't any error and my warning is solved. Congratulations, we did it. So the Mongosh is ready for me to get started working with the MongoDB databases. It's really simple. I can come to this and say at the beginning help, and after that I have all of these commands and functions. First I talked about this and how to work with some of them in the MongoDB old shell. So if I come over here and come to this and let's run the old or legacy Mongo shell, come over here, come to this, and where are you Mongo? This is Mongo server and the 5 and the B, and this is my file, the Mongo. Also I can add this path to the system, then I can directly run the Mongo without any problem. Or you can copy this and paste it inside the command prompt, no matter. So come to this and say the system, and this is the system. Previously I talked about how to run the Mongo. So go over here and come to the advanced system settings, environment, and the path, and edit. So no, and I need to paste the path over here. This is the old one. Let's come over here and copy and come to this one more time. So this is the Mongosh and paste it over here and click OK, OK, and OK. Now I can directly run the Mongo. To do that, come to this one and here and say the cmd. Right click on it, run as administrator, and say the Mongo or mongo.exe. After a couple of seconds, I can get access to the old version of the Mongo shell. So I talked about how to use the help. Then I have all of these functions and commands. to get started working with the MongoDB. Indeed, the Mongosh is the newer version with more features and tools of the old one, this one. So this is the old one and this is the newer version. Over here in the Mongosh, I have some colorful text, something like this, and all the features. So I have the list of commands. For instance, the exit will quit the MongoDB, and also if I come over here, and here I have the show. To show the databases, we need to use the show DBS. Then I have the show collections to show the tables and collections, and also show profiles, show users up to the end. Let's do it. Come over here and say show, and after that the DBS, and press enter. So I have all of this, the admin, config, and the local. So I have 3 different databases. These are the default databases. Also I can use the use, then change the current database and say the admin. So this is, and if I scroll down, I have the switch to DB admin. It means the current database is admin, and I have the config and the local. More information over here. So switch to the DB min. Congratulations, we did it. Now we know how to work with the Mongosh, or the new version of the Mongo shell. And also I can select the print JSON, and we can use the Mongosh to create the collections, databases, and add the records and find the records. Indeed, my intention of this topic and tutorial is not talking about how to use professionally the Mongosh, because I want to talk about how to create and manage your databases using the Compass, because the Compass has the graphical interface and we can easily manage and work with the MongoDB databases as quick as possible. But in the Mongosh or the Mongo shell, we need to write everything manually. So I have the Mongosh or the Mongo shell that is completely command prompt, and we need to write everything manually. So it's really time consuming and difficult to use. So as I told you in my upcoming tutorials, I'll talk about how to start working with the MongoDB databases using the Compass. It's really amazing and great feature of the MongoDB. Okay, excellent. Everything is done. Now we know how to install the Mongosh and get to start working with it. So it's your time to go and start working with the Mongosh and stay with me with my amazing upcoming tutorial. Thanks for your time. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about what is the JSON and how we can work with it. So let's get started. Before doing anything, let's talk more about the JSON. The JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation, or the object with the JavaScript structure and syntax, that we can easily use the JSON as the text format for saving and transporting the data. What does it mean? Suppose we have some data in the SQL Server or the text file or any other applications like the accounting software or the WhatsApp and other social networks applications. Then we need to transfer the data from these applications into another platform. So we need to use the common format and the easy to use format. To do that, we can easily use the JSON. We call it JSON or the JSON. Both of these are identical and you can use one of them freely. So the JSON is the text format for saving and transporting the data between different applications and the platforms. So the JSON is self-describing and we have everything inside it, including the column name and its data type over here, for instance. And also it is easy to understand and everyone can understand what's going on inside the JSON file easily by reading the keys and the values. Indeed, the structure of the JSON is really simple and straightforward. We have some keys and the values. In the Python, we have the dictionary and it is similar to the JSON format. So we have the keys and the values. The values have different formats like the string, the integer, number, boolean, and so on. So the JSON has the key value structure. You can see it over here. Well done. Now we quickly talked about the structure of the JSON and why we need to use the JSON. The question is, can we use all the data formats like the XML or the text files? Yes, you can use the text format or the XML or any other formats. But the JSON is the most important and most famous extension and format between the people all around the world because of these features. Now let's talk about the JSON types or different types of the JSON. This is my own grouping. Maybe you can see different grouping in the internet and the network. So don't worry about anything and just focus on the learning and how to work with the JSON. So we have the simple JSON, and also I'll talk about the different data types of the JSON. Then I have the advanced JSON by the array or the list in the Python. And also I have the advanced JSON by the object. And finally, we have the complex JSON by the object and array. So we have 4 main groups of the JSON based on my own grouping and own experiences. So let's get started working with all of these one by one. And the first step is the simple JSON. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to get started working with the simple JSON. If I take a look at this example over here, I have the curly braces before and after all of the items. So at the beginning and at the end. Then I have the key value pairs over here and here. Between the key and the value, I have the colon, exactly like the dictionary in the Python. And each key value pair is separated by the comma. So we separated the key and value pairs by the comma. And this is the simple structure of the JSON. But let's talk about how we can save the JSON file. It's really simple and straightforward. Come over here, right click new and the text document and name it, for instance, sample JSON. So this is the sample JSON and the TXT. I can change it to the JSON. So this is the JSON format. And do you want to change? Yes, change it. Now if I right click on this, come to the open with and the notepad. I can easily start working with the JSON inside the notepad. So don't forget to add the curly braces, starting and ending. So the first one is opening and closing, no matter. And also if I zoom in, I can start working with the JSON and write my first and simple JSON. Don't forget the keys inside the JSON should be inside the double quotations. So this is the key. It is inside the double quotations. Also, I have the strings that are inside the double quotations and the numbers. We don't need it. And also the Boolean and null. I'll talk about the different data types later. So don't worry about anything. Now let's come over here and this is the simple JSON. I have the curly braces. Inside it, I can add the first key and name it, for instance, the first name or F name, no matter. You can write anything that you want over here. This is my first key and each key needs the value. So at the colon, then I need to write the value. This is the first name. So the value of first name should be a string. Don't forget to add the double quotations and write the value like this arrow. So this is the most simple version of the JSON that we can create. Now if I save everything and come to this one, and you can see by default the application for this file format is the Chrome. Also you can use another applications. Let's select the open with and select the Google Chrome. Also you can use all the applications. So let's open it. So I have something like this and it's open inside the Google Chrome, and we have something like this structure and it is completely human readable. One of the most important features of the JSON is that the JSON files are human readable. So we can easily read the content of the JSON. So this is the simple method for creating the JSON files. We can use the online JSON editors. It's really simple ones. To do that, come over here, come to the Google and write the JSON viewer. So we have many different websites that we can start working with the JSON files inside them with the online editors. So we have up to, for instance, 16 JSON viewers and also all of these websites. Let's select the first one, and it is the jsonviewer.stack.hu. So this is the result, the jsonviewer.stack. And the next one is this website, jsonformatter.org. You know what? My intention of this topic is not talking about this website or this website. You can use any other websites that you want. Indeed, the structure of the online JSON editor websites are similar. Why? Because the JSON format is the unique one. So we have the same format websites. Come over here and come to this one. This is my sample text. So let's select this and delete that, or click on the clear. In this website, in the JSON viewer stack.hu, we have two main tabs. First, the text that we can write the JSON inside it, then the viewer, the result of the JSON, invalid JSON variable. Let's click OK because we haven't any JSON over here. So if I come over here and let's select this, come to open with and notepad and select this and paste it inside the online viewer. So this is my first created JSON. The curly braces, the first key, the colon, the value. Now let's zoom in, holding down the control key and scrolling my mouse. So I have the text and I can easily come to the viewer. And inside the viewer, I have something like this and the result. Let's zoom out. So this is the result, and also this one. I have the JSON. I can easily expand or collapse. And also the first key and the value. Also, I have the tabular version over here and the f name and the value, the name and the value. So if I come to the text, over here I have another options. For instance, the format. If I click on the format, then I have something like this format, or remove white space. If I click on it, so this is the simple version of the JSON. It's a really simple one. The curly braces and inside them the collection of the key and value pairs. So if I format, this is the format and it is more human readable than this one. So let's select the format. Also, I can load the JSON data and clear all of this, copy and paste. Now let's add the next one. Indeed, if I come over here, I can easily add the next one, and it is the ln. For instance, come to this and don't forget to add the comma because we need it to separate the key values from the next one, and say the last name or the ln. Now add the double quotations, the colon and the value. The last name is a string, so don't forget to add the double quotations in the value and say the Parker or Allison. This is the Sarah Allison. And also we don't need to add any comma at the end. So if I come to the viewer, I have the f name, the Sarah, l name Allison, and the name, f name Sarah, and the value. So the names and the values, or the keys and the values. And what about the errors? We can come to the text. Now I can write something wrong here. For instance, I can add the colon at the end, or I can delete this one. So if I come to the viewer, invalid JSON variable. So we need to add the double quotations here and come to the viewer, invalid JSON, and if I delete the last error, so the viewer is working perfectly. And also I can come to the text, copy this, and get inside the next online editor. So come to the next one, and it is the jsonformatter.org, and paste it over here. So this is the JSON format and this is the output. And indeed, in this website, we don't need to change the view from the text to the result. And I have the text over here, or the JSON, and the result here. Also, I have some tools here. For instance, the first one is the format JSON with the indentation. And also I have the next one. You can easily see the result. For instance, click on this and also this one. and I can start working with this only by clicking on them. So I have the first JSON object. You can see it over here, and you can see the if name and the last name. So I have some buttons here. You can easily load the data or download the data as the JSON format. So if I come to the download and click on it, then I have this one. It is the text format. We can easily change the format manually. So come to the show all and click on this, for instance. So I have the exact JSON over here. So let's close this easily and quickly. Now let's come inside my first viewer. So come over here, and as I told you, we can use the different data types in the JSON. So come to this. To do that, let's talk about the next step, the valid data types in the JSON. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to use the valid data types in the JSON. We have up to 6 valid data types: the string, the number, the boolean, the null, the object or the JSON object, and the array or the list in the Python. So I have all of these 6 valid data types in the JSON. Now let's take a deeper look at the valid data types, starting with the string. Previously I talked about the string data type, and we can easily use the string data types here. So this is the string value here, and we need to add the double quotations like other languages such as the Python and C# and so on. We need to write the strings inside the double quotations. This is the if name, and also I have the L name. And the next one is the number, including the integer or the decimal numbers. So suppose I have the age and I want to add the age inside my JSON. To do that, come over here and come to this one. Don't forget to add the comma. Let's resize it. Great. And say the age. So this is the age. And don't forget to add the double quotations and write your age inside the double quotations. Add colon and the value. This is the value 23. So if I come to the viewer, I have the JSON, and you can say this is the main node or the root object. So if I click on this object, all of this belongs to the JSON object, and this is the age 23, and you can see it over here, and the if name LM. I can change the sort of the columns, the order of the items and the keys here easily and quickly. And also I can come to the text and add another one and say, for instance, the income. Let's add the income and the colon and write the decimal number, for instance 2300.45. and if I come to the viewer, now I have the decimal number over here and the integer and also the strings here. And what about the next item? The next data type is the boolean. The boolean is true or false. So come over here and let's say the married is true. So I can say the married. To explain my tutorial, let's copy this part and come over here and paste it inside the text. So this is the married and add the comma. Now this is the boolean true or false. And if I come to the viewer, so I have the married, it is true or false. You can see the result here and also here. And what about the case of the letters? If I come to the text and change the true, and let's select that, change the T to the uppercase T. Come to the viewer, so the invalid JSON variable. Don't forget to use the lowercase. And as the programmer, you should be genius and try different matters if you got any unexpected errors. So I have the married true and it is boolean. If I take a look at the next website, copy this and get inside the next one, the jsonformatter.org, and paste over here. So I have the result something like this. I can easily select the main object, expand or collapse. And also I have the view. If I select the view and change it to the code form text entry and the view, we have the different results. For instance, suppose select the form. So you can see the result over here. The married has the checkbox before the value. And also I can select the next, for instance, the tree. So I have something like the tree structure, and also the code from the view, no matter and no problem. So indeed we have the same structure, and it is the JSON, but we can show it in the different status and different views in our online viewer or in our custom viewer. The result is not important matter because we have the same structure over here. So this website has the result like this, and the next website has the result like this. And this is the power of the JSON, the same format with a different result. Come over here and come to the next, and the next data type is the null. Sometimes we don't want to assign any values to the keys, but we want to add the key with the null value. To do that, we have the null. So I have the address and the null. I can copy this to start my tutorial and paste it inside the JSON over here exactly, and this is the result. So I have the null, and if I come to the viewer, I have the address and it is the null. If I come to the text and delete the null, let's see the result. So come to viewer, the invalid JSON. So we need to use the null. If I use the uppercase N for the null, let's see, so invalid. As the result, we need to use the lowercase null. Come to the viewer, and this is the null value if we haven't any value for the key. And also we have two other data types, the object or the JSON object, and also the array or the list in the Python. These are complex objects and the keys in the JSON. I'll talk about this in my upcoming tutorials, so don't worry about anything. So far I talked about the valid data types in the JSON, and we have something like this for our simple JSON file. Also, we can develop the power of the JSON by using two other valid data types, the object and the array. Indeed, currently I'm over here, the simple JSON with the different data types from the string up to the null. In the next step, I'll talk about how to get started working with the advanced JSON by using the array. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to use the array in the JSON to create the advanced JSON. So let's get started. First, I talked about the simple JSON and how to work with the string, number, boolean, and null in the simple JSON to save the simple data by the JSON format. But sometimes we have complex data and we want to save all of them inside the JSON. Then we need to use the array, and the array is something like the list in the Python. So let's get started working with the array. If you want to add the array of the data or the list of the data and the items, then we need to use the square brackets. The square brackets hold the arrays in the JSON. So I have the full name. Suppose I want to add the first name and the last name inside the full name. Then we can easily use the square brackets here or the array or the list. Then add my items inside it and add the comma and the items one by one. So the items of the array should be inside the square brackets. Then we need to separate the items using the comma. And also we can use the different data types like the integer, the null, boolean, and all of these inside the square brackets. And suppose I have the children and I want to add the name of my children inside the array. Then I can easily use the array over here and the square brackets, and inside it add the children name one by one, split it by the comma. So let's come over here and come to the collection. First I talked about the collections, and as I told you, we have the list, and inside the list we have the items that are separated by the comma, and I have the square brackets. So the array is something like the list in the Python. Now let's get started working with this in the online editor. So come to this one, and first I talked about this example. Also I have the format. If I click on it, then everything will be formatted automatically. And suppose I want to add another full name here. To do that, let's select this and change it to the full name and the full name. So this is the full name, and currently I have only one value, and if I want to add more than one values, so add the square brackets and the first one and the last one. So this is the Sarah at comma, and the second one is, for instance, the Allison. This is the Allison. Also, I can use the alias name or the nickname like the Juju, and this is the Juju, or the MJ, and this is the nickname indeed, the Sarah Allison, and the nickname is MJ, or the alias name is MJ. Now if I come to the viewer, then I have the full name and I have the square brackets here. It means this is the array inside the JSON, and I have the button over here. If I click on the plus, now I have the Sarah, Allison, and the MJ, and each item over here has the index. So the index 0 for the first item, second item, up to the end. And also we have something like this here. Where are you? The full name, and you can see triple dots here. So this was about the arrays and its usage inside the JSON to add more complex data inside it. Also, I can use the next example. If I come to this, I have the children, and suppose I have 3 children and I want to add the names of them over here. Copy this, and after that come to the online editor, and here I have the full name, the Sarah, Allison, MJ, and at the end over here at the comma, and after that paste, and this is the result. So I have the children including the Tom, MJ, and the Alex. Come to the viewer. So I have another square brackets here, or another array or the list as the children, and I have the Tom with the index 0, MJ index 1, and the Alex index 2. Also the effect is over here. So this was about how to use the list or the array in the JSON. It's really practical and amazing. So if you have more than one item for any case, then you can use the array or the list. Congratulations, we did it. Now we learned how to use the list and the array to add more information about the keys. So I'm going to start working with the array, and stay with me with my amazing and great tutorial about how to work with the objects in the JSON. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. In this video I want to talk about how to easily use the object to create the advanced JSON. So let's get started. First I talked about the array and also the string, number, boolean, and the null data types to create and save the data inside the JSON. And also we have the simple JSON and the advanced JSON by the array. Then it's time to talk about the advanced JSON by the object. So let's get started. As I told you previously, if we have some data, for instance the children name, then we can use the square brackets to add the array or the list. But sometimes we need to add a completely different object and totally new key and value pairs. Then we can use the object. If you want to add the object, you need to use the curly braces, and the curly braces in the JSON hold the objects. So suppose we have the F name here, the L name, the age, and the married. All of these are the common data types, but the last one is completely different, the children. Suppose I have the children and I have the different data types for each children. Then we can't use the list or the arrays, because in the arrays we can't assign any key to them. So in this example we need to use the object. In the object, indeed, we want to add completely the new object of the JSON. The JSON has a really simple structure, the curly braces as I told you, and the key and value pairs. So this up to the end. Indeed, this part from here up to here is the new JSON object that we can add the key and the value, add comma or separator, add the new key and value up to the end. So the object indeed is another new JSON inside the JSON. Let's do it. Come over here, and this is my children, and suppose I want to add all of them. So come to this to stop my tutorial, copy, come over here, and come to the text, and here exactly, and paste it. So I have the children, and this is my previous children. I can change it to the children names or children info. Now I have the children info and the children. And also I have the colon, this is the normal one, and the curly braces over here and here. Then I have the key, colon, the value, comma, the new key, colon, value, comma, the new key, colon, and the value. If I take a look at the viewer, so invalid JSON, why? Because I need to add the comma over here after this item and come to the viewer. So I have the new children node is added over here, and it is the curly braces. The curly braces means this is the JSON object or the new JSON inside this JSON. So if I expand, now I have the name, gender, and the age. Also, I can use another curly braces or the JSON object inside the name, or I can add another array or the list inside the gender or the age. So you can create the complex JSON format and let data using the JSON object and the array. Now I have the age, gender, name for my first child. It is the Tom, male, up to the end. Also, I can come to the text, and if I copy this, come to the next online editor and paste over here. Now I have the full name, you can see it, and also if I collapse all of this, so I have the full name, I can expand that, and also the children info, and finally the children. Also I can come to the view and change it to the form, so you can see something like this. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Let's show you another tricky note. Before doing anything, let's copy this. So right click, but I can't right click, so press the Ctrl C or click on the copy, but your browser doesn't support this feature. So select all of this and press the Ctrl C on your keyboard. Now I have the format. If I click on the format or remove white space, let's see the result. Click on it. So I have the full name, and inside the full name I have another item or the array, and up to the end. Also I can format. If I click on the format, so by default I have something like this format. Instead of writing all of the items in the single line like this, indeed come over here like this, I can use the multiple lines and add one item in each line. So this is exactly like my previous tutorial, no matter and no problem. In this example, I added each item in the new line. So the result is the same. And you can see something like this. So don't forget adding the items in the new line doesn't affect on the result. And also I have the LM up to the end. And if I scroll down, I have the children info and the children. So the name and the curly braces here, and the key and value, the first one, the second one, up to the end. And what about the duplicate key name in the JSON? Let's do it. This is the first one, and it is the children. For better understanding, let's select all of this and paste over here. And this is more human readable. So I have the children. Suppose I want to add another children. Let's see the reaction of the JSON and paste over here. Now I have the children, and exactly I duplicated that and add it over here. And don't forget to add the comma here, and let's see the viewer. So this is the result. I have the children and the same result over here. But what about my second curly braces or the JSON object? If I come to the text, as you see over here, I have the second one. Let's change it to another data and say, for instance, the name is MJ, and the name, change it to first name. Now I have the different data with the same key. If I come to the viewer, so I have the children and the first name and the gender. So the second item is replaced with the first one, and the first one is ignored. the Tom, gender male, up to the 13. And if I come to the viewer, I have the MJ, the first name, the male, and 13. Indeed, the second one. And the first one is ignored. So consider this matter while you're working with the JSON. Let's delete this easily and quickly. Now let's check the result. The viewer, the children, the first name, the gender, and the age. Okay, excellent. Congratulations. Now we know more about how to use the object in the JSON to add more complex data structure inside the JSON file. So it's your turn. Go ahead and start working with the object and stay with me with my great upcoming tutorial about how to create the complex JSON data by the object and array inside the same JSON file. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to create the complex JSON file by using the object and array both inside the same JSON. So let's get started. Till now, I talked about how to use the object and also the array and all of this to create the simple and advanced JSON file. But after all of this, sometimes we need to add more complex data inside the JSON. To do that, we have the normal data types like the string up to the end. And after that, we have the children. Suppose I have more than one child and I want to add the name of my children inside the same JSON file. To do that, I have the children over here. And in my previous tutorial, I talked about how to use only one object here as the value and add another key and value pairs inside it. But I can add more than one object using the array. So by using the array, I can add more than one object inside each JSON file. So this is the data of my first child, the second child, and the third child. Also, I can use the different data types and different key value pairs for each object. So the first one has the name, gender, male. The second one has the same thing, but the last one has only the name and the age, and I haven't any gender inside it. So I can use this structure to create more complex JSON files. So come over here, and this is the children, copy, and after that come to this and this. For better result and to prevent the unexpected errors, I can select this, and after that paste the new one. So I have the children, and inside it I have this one, the square brackets, to add the array. The array of what? The array of the objects. So this is my first object that is separated by the comma, and the second object, and at the comma, and third object, and also the next one. So I can use something like this structure, the first, second, and the third. And let's delete this one because it's not needed. Also, I can easily delete that from here because we don't need it. Now come to this, and don't forget the first, second, and the third item. All of these are inside the array. So this is the array of the objects. And if I come to the viewer, so this is the result, the children, and I have 3 objects inside it. You can see the curly braces here, and if I expand, so I have all of this data and all of this up to the end. And you know what, if you want to be successful and professional programmer, you should be genius. For instance, if I come to this and by mistake, for instance, suppose I add the comma over here. So don't be afraid and don't be disappointed. Just try to check the different matters. This is the comma at the end of my items. So if I check in the viewer, without any problem, I can delete that. But logically, this comma is not needed, and I prefer to delete that. So this is the result in how we can work with the different or multiple objects inside the array to create the more complex JSON files. So it looks amazing and great, and as I told you, we can add more complex JSON files. For instance, if I come to the text, and over here I have the gender or the name here inside this object. Also, instead of the name, this is only the simple name, I can add another object like this and say the first name and the last name. So this is the first name and if name, for instance, and the value. So the first name, for instance, the Tom, and at comma, then the second key and the last name or name or the nickname and anything that you want. So the colon and the Parker, or this is the Parker. Now I have the new object inside another new object as the item inside my array or the list, and this list is the value of my children key inside another JSON object. So this is a really complex one, and you can use the JSON power and JSON object to add more complex structures and data to your file. So come to the viewer. Now I have the children. Inside it I have the first one, and inside it I have the name, and if I expand that I have the first name and the name. So we can create the tree view of the data or the nested data using the different objects or the arrays inside your JSON file. So you can add any nested items or add items like the tree to create the more complex JSON files. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now my mission for learning the JSON is completed successfully. So I'm ready to use the JSON everywhere in my projects. I can easily use it to export the data to other platforms, or I can use it inside the Python, or I can use the JSON inside the MongoDB database and other platforms. The usage of the JSON is really unlimited, and you can use it everywhere that you need it. But don't forget, you need to consider the right commas and also the right colons and the curly braces, and you need to be careful about the location of the curly braces and the number of them inside your JSON file. And don't forget, while watching this video, the JSON seems really simple for you, but this is not true. And just watching this video is not enough for learning the JSON. At the beginning, and indeed if you're a beginner to learn the JSON, you will have many different errors. But if you got any errors, don't be disappointed. Just watch this video one more time and try. And if you want to use the online editor, then you can find the errors easily and quickly. With the best wishes. Thanks for your time. Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to start using the MongoDB Compass, including how to start working with the Compass, add the database to the MongoDB, add collection, add document by the JSON format. So let's get started. Till now, I talked about many great tips and tricks, including how to download and install the MongoDB, the Mongosh or Mongo Shell, and also the MongoDB Compass. So it's time to work with the Compass to manage our databases and execute the database operations. To do that, at the first step, we need to learn the JSON. Previously, I talked about the JSON and how to work with it. So if you don't know anything about the JSON, it means you need to refer to my previous tutorial and previous section. I talked about the JSON and its different types in depth with many great tips and tricks and the examples. So don't hesitate to watch my previous section about the JSON, then come over here and start learning the Compass. Currently, I assume that you watch the JSON, and the next step is talking about how to start working with the Compass. To do that, come over here, and previously I installed the Compass and I have the MongoDB Compass. So run it, and after a couple of seconds or some minutes, we have the Compass, and this is the login window of the Compass. As I told you previously, we have two options to connect to the MongoDB server. Using this option and the hostname and the port and some other authentication, or you can use the connection string. Both of these are similar because I want to connect to the local host and the default port and also the default credential information. So come to the connect. This is the main window of the Compass. It has two main parts. First, the sidebar and also the information over here. So if I take a look at my sidebar, at the top, I have the information about the MongoDB server. Currently, I'm connecting to the localhost with the 27017 port number. Also, I have the standalone cluster. It means that I'm installing the default and the local host for the MongoDB. Then I have the edition, the MongoDB 5.0.0 Community Edition. Here I have some databases that these are the default databases indeed. Also, I can search or filter the databases easily and quickly over here, the search text box. Then I have the add database over here and here. And also I have two tabs in this window. The first one is the databases tab for managing the databases and adding the new one. And the next one is the performance tab to get access to the performance of the MongoDB server, including the operations, read and write network, and memory diagnostic charts and the information. So if you want to look deeper inside the operations and other processes of your MongoDB, don't hesitate to use the performance. Currently, I don't want to work with this, so come to the databases. And also, I have the Mongosh command prompt here, or the MongoDB Shell. If I click over here, I can easily get access to the Mongosh, but this is the default or built-in Mongosh shell. And so I come to here and write the help. So I have something like this. First, I talked about how to work with the MongoDB shell, and we have exactly similar matters. But as I told you, this is the outdated version of the Mongo shell, and based on the announcement of the MongoDB, in the future versions, maybe the support of this MongoDB shell discontinued. So it's a really great idea to work with the new version of the MongoDB shell. First, I talked about these matters. So currently, I want to work with the designer or the GUI of the Compass to manage my databases and work with them. So I don't want to work with the Mongosh, not this version or the new version. And also at the top, I have the connect and connect to and disconnect. So come to the view, I have the reload and reload the data, and also some menus for changing the zoom of your designer. The zoom in, Control plus Shift plus equals, the zoom out, Control plus minus or negative. So I can easily zoom my designer. It's a really great idea and the tool for changing the zoom of my designer while working with the built-in JSON editor of the MongoDB for adding the data. Okay, excellent. Congratulations. Now we learned the overall structure of the Compass and how to start working with it. So currently I'm over here, and indeed I talked about start using the Compass. And the next step is talking about how to use the Compass to add the database to the MongoDB server. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. Now let's talk about how we can use the Compass to add the databases to my MongoDB server or delete them. To do that, come over here and come to the Compass, and here I have two options. First, I can come to the sidebar, and here I have the create database. Also, I can auto-add this and show it. No matter, it's really great and amazing tool. And also I have the similar button, create database. Adding the database using the Compass is really simple and straightforward. Over here, I have the default databases, so I can work with them, or I can create the new one. So create the database. Here I need to write the database name, for instance, the customers. I want to create the database for my customers, and there's another text box, the collection name. Before writing anything over here, let's take another look at the structure of the MongoDB for better understanding. If I come over here, and previously I talked about the structure of the MongoDB and its differences with the simple and SQL databases. So in the SQL databases, we have the database, and we have something like that in the MongoDB, the database. The database is the file or the location for saving all of the data. Then I have the tables, and each table has its own columns. So we have the collections instead of the tables. The collections is something like the tables. And finally, I have the rows in the SQL databases and columns for saving the data. Instead of the rows, I have the documents. And the documents is based on the JSON format. And inside the JSON, I have the fields or the key value pairs. And the fields are something like the columns, and the documents are something like the rows. Also, I have the collections. Now, let's take a look at another example over here. This is the MongoDB, and I have the collections. The first collection, second, and third collection. For instance, the student info, the exams, and the parent info. And inside each collection, I have the documents. And the documents indeed are something like the rows. And what about the columns? The columns are my key and value pairs. So I have something like this. If I scroll up, I have another example. And you can see the documents, something like this. Each one is document inside the collection. And I have the JSON format inside the document for saving the data easily and quickly. So this was the quick tour about the structure of the MongoDB. At the first step, we need to add the database name, the customers. And as you see over here, we have the quick tip. If you wanna create this database and save it, then you need to assign at least one collection name. After assigning the at least one collection name, then you can create your database. So it's necessary and critical to add at least one collection to your database to create it. So the collection name, for instance, the CU info or customer info, no matter, or anything that you want. You're completely free to use your own collection name. So I want to create the customers database, and inside it, I want to create the customer info collection or the table. Then the create database button is enabled here, and I can easily create my database. Also, I have some other features and properties. Currently, I don't want to mix up you with all of these options and the checkboxes. So let's leave all of this currently and create the database. And this is. Now I have the customers database over here. Congratulations, we did it. And inside it, if I click on this, so I have the CU info and all of this information about the CU info. And also we have the tree view of the customers and the CU info inside it. So let's select the customers, and I have the CU info inside it. These are the collections. You can see the collections here. Indeed, these are some kind of the tables in the SQL databases. So I have more information about the CU info collection. The number of documents inside it is 0 because I didn't add anything inside it, and also the average document size, the total document size, and the number of indexes and total index size, and some other properties. Also, I can easily delete this collection. To do that, come over here and this one. To drop the CU info or my collection, we need to write the CU info one more time in this text box. So let's write CU info to delete the collection and drop the collection. Drop means delete. Now I have successfully deleted my collection and also my database. Why? Because each database needs at least one collection. And if you delete all the collections inside the database, then the database itself will be deleted. So I haven't any database over here, and also you can see nothing here. And in this list, I have the database name and the storage size, the collections inside it, and the indexes. Also, you can delete these databases by using these buttons. Now, let's come over here and let's add the database one more time. To do that, come to the create database and let's write the customers. And the collection name it for instance, the CU info or anything that you want. So I can come to the create, and after a couple of seconds, I have the customers that is added here. and the storage size is about 4 kilobytes. And also the collections, one collections inside the customers and one indexes. So I have the CO info over here and indeed inside the customers, and you can see the collections one. So I have the CO info. Also, I can come to this and delete the database. You can see the drop database here for dropping or deleting the database and adding the collections. I'll talk about the collections in the next tutorial, so don't worry about anything. And currently I want to work with the database and I want to show you how to add and remove your databases. So come to the Compass, and this is the delete. I can easily select that. Do you want to delete your database? Yes. So write your database to confirm customers, and this is drop the database. So it's done. Now I can create the database one more time and customers or anything that you want. The collection name like the CO info. Now create the database. Also, I can add one more database or any number of the databases that I want. For instance, the students and the students info or S2 info, and create the database. So I have the students database and the customers for saving the information of my students and also the customers. I have the tree view here and the simple view over here. Congratulations, we did it. Now we know how to add and remove the databases into the MongoDB server. Now let's talk more about the options while we're creating the database. To do that, come over here, create the database. And as I told you previously, we have some other features here while we want to create the database. My suggestion is leave this by default, but let's quickly talk about the usages of these options. The first one is the capped collection. The capped collection is great when you want to save the temporary data like the log of the applications or any other matters. Currently, I don't want to work with the log data, so don't check this one. And the next one is the time series. The time series is great when you want to save the time dependent data, something like the condition of the weather, or for saving the performance or anything that depends on the time. And currently I don't want to create something like the time series application, so uncheck this. And finally I have the collation, and if you want to work with the different languages and if you want to specify the language rules for the string comparison, such as the rules for the case of letters and accent of the letters, then use this. So if you check this checkbox, suppose you want to work with the Unicode languages like the Arabic or the Chinese or even the Korean or the Persian, then you can select your language collation. So generally speaking, the collation is the rules for comparing the string, such as the rules for the case of the letters and accent of the characters. And if I come to the local, I can come and select my favorite language, for instance, the Arabic, or even based on your language, the German or the English. And also I have the Spanish and the Persian, for instance, and also the Korean and the Hindi, or all of this. So you can select this based on your language or leave it by default, and this is. Then you can select the database name and the collection name and create your database. Okay, excellent, congratulations, we did it. Now we learned how to create the database and the first collection inside it. The next step is talking about how to work with the collections. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. Now let's talk about how we can add the collection to the database. So let's get started. Till now I talked about how to add the database and how to add the default collection to your MongoDB database. So come over here and come to this one. Sometimes we need to add more than one collection to your database. For instance, if I come over here and in this example, exactly this one. Suppose I want to save the information of the students. So I have different collections, one for saving the student information, one for saving the exams and the information of the students' exams. And finally, I have another one for saving the information of the parents and so on. So we need to add more than one collection to the database. As I told you, the collections are something like the tables inside the SQL databases. So come over here and open up my Compass. And inside the Compass, I have the customers and also students. So if I click over here, refresh, now I have the customers and the students. For instance, suppose I want to work with the students. Click on it. Currently, I have only one student info collection inside the students database. So you can see the collections and the size. So if I click over here, now I can select this one and delete that, for instance. Or I can add the new collection. To do that, I have the create collection here, and I can click on this and add my new collection. Also, I can come to this and select the students. And here I have the delete button to drop the database or delete the database totally. And also I have the plus button to create the new collection. In this window, I need to write the collection name. Previously I talked about this one. For instance, the exams. And this is the exams or exam info. And something like this. As I told you, we have three different options. The capped collection for saving the temporary data, and also the time series for saving the time related data. And finally, I have the custom collection. As I told you, the collection is related to the rules for comparing the strings or the rules for the case of letters and the accent. By default, we don't need to change anything, and we can easily leave this by default. Why? Because the format of the data for saving inside the Mongo databases and the collections and the documents is the UTF-8 or the Unicode format. So we can write anything with the different formats and the different languages inside the collections and the documents without any other settings. But if you want more power and more control over the rules and over the language and the string comparison, then you can select this checkbox and change the local based on your language. For instance, for the Arabic language, select the Arabic, and also for other languages, like for instance the German, select the German and so on. But personally, I prefer to use this one unchecked because this is only the tutorial and I don't need more control over the rules of the string comparison. So uncheck this and the exam info and create the collection. So I have the students, and if I click on it, I have the exam info and the student info. Also, I can create the new one and say the parent info. So this is the next one, parent info, and create. Now, if I take a look at this students, and I have three collections and the indexes and the size. So I can start working with this one by one. For instance, if I want to click on the student info, so in this window, I can add my documents. It is the main part of the data. The document is the rows of the data. So if I come over here, and indeed, as I told you, we have the rows, and each row is the document with the JSON format inside the MongoDB. And I have the fields, and the fields are indeed the keys that are inside the JSON. So we have something like this. The keys are the fields, and also we have the document, the JSON documents, that is the row. And it's really simple and straightforward. So come over here and come to this one. Later I'll talk about how to add the documents one by one with many great tips and tricks and how to find the values inside the documents. Currently I don't want to talk about this matter. Okay, excellent. Now we know how to add the collections to my databases. So if I come over here and click on this, I have two other options. First, drop the collection to delete the collection. And also I can open it in the new tab. If I click on this one, open in the new tab. So I have the student info and the documents inside it. And also if I come over here and select the parent info and open in the new tab. So I have the new tab over here that belongs to the documents inside the parent info collection. We can easily navigate between two collections using these tabs here, or even I can close that, and this is. So everything is ready for me, and it's really simple and straightforward. And we can easily add any number of tabs here for working simultaneously with the different collections. Now let's close this and this. Also, I can refresh this matter to refresh all of this data. So let's take a look at my customers. This is my customers and it has only the CU info. I can also come to the customers and add the new collection. For instance, the CU income or customer income. And you can see the customer income and create the collection. So if I get inside the customers, currently we have two collections and the storage size, and click over here. So the CU income and the CU info, two collections that are inside the customers database. Congratulations, we did it. Now we learned how to work with the collections, add and remove the collections to the databases inside the MongoDB. So it's done, and the next step is the last one indeed, is about how to add the documents by the JSON inside the collections. But it's a really time-consuming topic and we need to learn many tips and tricks for adding the documents inside the collections by the JSON format. So if you wanna learn to add the document, we need to learn the JSON first. If you don't know anything about it, don't hesitate to watch my first tutorial about the JSON. Then you can come and continue and stay with me with my next and upcoming tutorial. So start and go and start adding your collections to your database and stay with me with my amazing and great upcoming tutorial. Thanks for your time. Hey guys, welcome back. In this video I want to talk about how to easily add the data by using the documents and the JSON technology inside your collections. So let's get started. Till now I talked about how to enjoy working with the JSON, start working with the Compass and add the database and add the collections. So everything is ready for me to get started adding the data. To do that, we need to add the document. Previously I talked about this matter and the structure of the MongoDB. In the MongoDB, we have the collections, and inside the collections we have the documents. So each document is indeed the row of the data, and you can see something like this in the SQL databases. We have the rows, but inside the MongoDB we have the documents. So the row equals to documents in the MongoDB, and for the columns inside the rows in the MongoDB we have the key and value pairs. So let's start working with it. Come over here and say hello Compass. What's up Compass? Are you great? I'm great too, thanks. So I have the students and also the customer databases. I can start working with the students or the customers, no matter. This is only the tutorial and I want to show you how to add the document and data. So this is the students and I have up to 3 collections inside it, and click on the students. The exam info, the parent info and the student info. Inside these collections we can add the dedicated and special data about the student info, for instance, or the parent info or the exam info. Now I want to add the information about my students. Currently I haven't anything inside the student info. You can see the statistics over here. If I click on the student info, this is the main window to add the data or manage the data and documents inside the collections. So currently I selected the student info. You can see the collection here, and also I have the parent info and exam info. And here I have the students dot and student info. The student info is the name of currently selected collection. And if I want to get inside the students, so click on the students easily and quickly. And also I have the main window here that I can see the current documents and also I have some buttons here and also here and some tabs here. These tabs give us more power and more tools and features for the current collection. So if I come to the documents, and now I can get access to the documents, or if I want to work with the aggregation, I can select this, or if I want to see the schema, select this up to the end. And also I have some statistics and information over here, including the number of documents, total size, average size, up to the end. Also, we can get access to this information inside the collection list over here in this. So if I click on the students, now I have the information over here at the top. So at the beginning, we can import the data. And if I click on it, we can import the data from the JSON file or the CSV. Currently, I don't want to mix up you. So this is the first step for adding the data, importing it. Also, I can import it from here, add data, click on it, and I have the import file. So I can import the same thing from here. But currently, I haven't any file. So I need to use the next one, and it is the insert document. By clicking on the insert document, I can easily add the documents. Also, I have the text box here to search the documents and information inside it. So this is the find toolbar, and also the displaying toolbar here, and also adding the data here and changing the view. We have three different views, the first, second, and the third, to change the view of the document over here inside this window. And also I have the export button here to export the collection and information inside the documents. So this was the quick tour about the main window of the document. So the next step is talking about how we can add the data and document inside the collection. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to add the first document inside your collection. It's really simple and straightforward. To do that, come to this button and insert document. So I have this window, and indeed the document adding window. And by default, the font size of this window is not really amazing and great. So we need to learn how to zoom in and zoom out by the keyword. So come over here, come to the view, and I have three options. First, the zoom in, Control plus Shift plus equals. Then zoom out, Control plus negative, and actual size, Control plus 0. All of these are at the same location of my keyboard for faster result. So this is the Control, Shift, and equals to zoom in, the negative to zoom out, and the 0 for the actual size. So let's close this. Most of the cases we need to change the font size or the zoom of my designer. So don't hesitate to learn and memorize all of this. Control Shift plus equals, Control plus negative, and Control plus 0. So let's do it. Come to this one and press the Control Shift and equals, and this is the zooming. Now I have more control over the data inside the document. By default, I have something like this, and it is the JSON format. First, I talked about it. And also, I have two views. First, the JSON, and the next one is the designer. So if I click on the designer, I have something like this for managing the data inside the document. Personally, I prefer to use the JSON because I have more control over the data. So this is the curly braces starting and also the ending curly braces, as I told you previously in the JSON section. Also, I have the ID object. So it is the object. Why? Because it has the key name, the ID, the colon, and the curly braces. And this is something like this. If I cut it over here and also over here. So I have the ID object that it has another JSON object inside it, and it has something like this, the ID, the colon, and the value. By default, each document needs the unique ID. So the unique ID is really important matter, and it is something like the national code or the ID number for each person around the world. So the MongoDB at the beginning of adding the document will add the ID automatically, and it is the unique number. And as I told you, it's really necessary and critical and important matter. So the MongoDB do it for us. And after that, we can add our own data. For instance, this is the ID. I can add anything that I want, like the fname, for instance, this is, and the colon, and the value, for instance, the Sarah. But don't forget to add the comma, as I told you previously, at the end of my first key. So this is. And if I delete that, so I have this error message, insert not permitted, while document contains error. It means currently I have some error inside my document. So if I add the comma, everything is solved. Now I can freely and easily add the data. Let's zoom out a little bit to see this button completely. So Control and negative. Now I have the insert. If I click on the insert, congratulations, our first document is added to the collection. Now I have the ID, that is automatically generated number, and the fname, and it is my own data. After adding the document in front of that, I have some of the controlling and editing buttons over here. So the first one is edit, to edit the current document. The next one is copy, clone, and the delete. So I can use the delete for deleting. Let's delete that. And do you want to delete? Yes. So delete or the cancel. Now my document is completely deleted. So I can come to this and add the next one, insert document. And this time I want to leave this by default. So if you leave this by default and insert immediately, so I have only the document that has one field, or the data, and it is the ID or the auto-generated number. So I can easily edit this by clicking on this button, and this is the edit. So I can come to this and edit this document. So this is the designer mode, and like my previous window, I can change the views. So this is the designer and the JSON, my favorite one. So I have the JSON, and I can start working with it to add, delete, or change anything that I want inside this document. And it is really great and amazing. So let's come to this one and leave it and come to the add, insert document. I want to show you how to add another document, and this is, let's zoom in. So come to this one and I can start adding the new document and say, for instance, the fname and its value, the colon, and the value, the Sarah. Also I can add the next one, add the comma, and the next one is L name, and this is the L name and the colon and the Harrison. So I have the fname and the LM keys or the fields inside this document. So I can add the next one, for instance, the age. This is the age, and the, for instance, 20. Also I can add the next one and write anything that you want. You're completely free to add anything that you want. And the status, so I can say the past. And also I can use another data types, as I told you previously, is valid. So let's add the true, and this is the boolean indeed. Now I have all of this that I added inside my current document. So if I click on the insert, this is the insert button, and I have something like this, the ID, the fname up to the end. So I can easily start editing this by this button and also delete that. So if I come to this button, the edit, I can easily edit and change anything that I want. For instance, I want to change the age. So click over here and change it to another matter, and like 18. And also I have the fname, I can change it, the lname up to the end. And finally I need to replace and save back the changes. And currently I have the document modified status over here, so cancel or replace. And if I replace, after a couple of seconds, everything will save inside the MongoDB database. So I added this one easily and quickly using the Json. Later I talk about how to use the designer mode, so don't worry about anything and just focus on your learning. Now come to this, and I have two other options. First, I can copy the document, and also I can clone the document. Sometimes I need to clone this or duplicate this document. Then I can come to this and clone document. So I have the window and all of my data is inside it. I can easily change it to another one like the Alex and the Peterson and the age, for instance, the 16, and the status not passed or is valid false. So I can easily insert, and this is, so I have 1, 2, and 3 documents here, and also I have the same statistics over here, the documents 3, and also the total size and indexes. So I cloned this easily and quickly, and I created the new data by using the old one. Or even I can completely clone this. So this is the Alex Peterson. I can come to the clone that, and this is the new data, and insert. And for a better result, let's zoom out a little bit. Now I have the insert, and this is the insert. So the new record is added, and I have the Alex. But if I take a look at the ID, we have the completely different IDs, and this is, as I told you, the ID is the unique field or the key that automatically is added to the MongoDB documents. So this is the clone version of my previous document. And also I can copy. So this is the Alex, and if I come over here, copy. Sometimes we need to copy the data and we want to use it somewhere else. For instance, I copied the data from here and I want to use it in the new document. If I come over here, and here I can select all of this and paste it here. Now I have the same data that I can add it over here easily and quickly, and I can format this data in any way that I want. Also, I have the ID, and this ID belongs to my previous document. Let's see the reaction of the MongoDB. Come to the insert, and wow, what happened? Duplicate key error collection. And I have something like this error because I used the duplicate ID. And what about the solution? The solution is really simple and straightforward. Just select this and delete the ID totally, and this is the result. And also come to this and delete the last comma. Now if I insert, and let's see the reaction. I have the last one, and the new ID is added automatically after inserting it. So I have the Alex, and the 3 Alexes over here, and this is the new ID. So this was the quick tour about how to add the documents easily and quickly using the JSON format. But my mission is not completed. In the next step, we can add more complex data inside the JSON. First, I talked about the JSON structure, and as I told you, we have many different items and data types that we can add inside the JSON, including the array and the object. So we can add more complex data inside the document using the complex JSON. So we have something like this, the JSON, and we can easily copy all of this. Now I can copy all of this, come to the MongoDB, where are you? This is my MongoDB, and add the data and insert document. So I can paste it over here. Let's select all of this and delete them and paste it here. Now I have the fname, lname, age, and also another array. So this is the array, and also I have the multiple objects for the children. So if I zoom in, and let's see, and it looks better now. I have the fname up to the end. Currently, I don't want to mix up you, so this is only the example. And if you don't know anything about the arrays and also the objects, it means you need to refer to my previous tutorial. Previously, I talked about all of this in depth. So currently, I assume that you watch my previous tutorial, or at least you're familiar with the array and the objects inside the JSON. And if I insert, so after a couple of seconds, I have the new document, and also I have these buttons here to expand or collapse the data. So I can add the more complex data at any level that we want, including the objects, the arrays, the different types of the data. So this is the result, and if I click over here and here. So this was the method for adding the complex data structures using the object and array of the JSON. And after adding the data, as you see here, I have the new ID that is added automatically by the MongoDB. So this is a really critical and important part of the document adding. Congratulations, we did it. Now we learned how to work with the JSON to add the documents inside the collection. But my mission is not completed yet, and we have another options for adding, and it is the designer. So it's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. Now let's talk about how we can add the new document to the Mongo database by the designer of the Compass. So come over here, click on this and insert document. Previously I talked about the JSON view and how to work with it to add the data. Despite of that, I have another view, and it's the designer. So if I click on it, in this view I can add the data without considering the JSON. For instance, I can come to this. By default, the ID is added and the data type of the ID is over here, the object ID. So I can come and click on the plus, click on it. Now I have the add field after the ID. After the ID, I want to add the new field. So add the new field or the key indeed. And inside this text box, I can add the name of my field or the key name. For instance, the F name. Then I have another text box here to add the value. By default, the value data type is a string, so I can write something like the Mary, and here this is the Mary. Or I can resize it like this, easily and quickly. So everything is really simple and straightforward and like the game, because this is the designer and we don't need to learn anything about the JSON. So I have the string data type and I can click on this and change the current data type. I don't want to talk about all of these data types because it needs many hours of the video tutorial. And also we don't need to learn all of these in this step. So don't worry about the data types and don't worry about the data type. Why? Because by default, the Mongo, based on your data and the value, will select the appropriate data type. So this is the Mary and the F name. Also, I can add the new one or delete this one. So I have the delete button over here and also add button over here. So if I click on the add field after the F name. So if I want to add another field after the ID, I need to come to this one and add. So add field after the ID. And if I want to add the field after the F name, so click on this plus button. Now add the field after the F name. So it is the last name and the last name or the L name, no matter, and name it, for instance, Allison. So this is the Allison and it is the S name. And also I can come to this and add the next field after that and say the age. This is the age and it is the S string. Also I can write something like this, the number. So this is the number. I change the value to the number, but nothing happened over here. Why? I'll talk about it later. So just focus on the learning. Now I have the age, that is the number, but it is inside the double quotations, and it means this is the S string. And we have the S string over here. We can manually change this, the S string, and change it to another data type like the double. The double is the decimal number, and also the integer, int 64. This is for the small numbers and big numbers. For instance, I want to set it to the int 32. So the double quotations are deleted. Now I have the int 32 over here. And there is a really interesting topic. If I come to the JSON, then I have the auto-generated JSON based on this data. So if I come to this, so it is the age 1 to 0 and the last name and the F name up to the end. So the Mary is too old. Let's change this number to, for instance, the 18. It looks better now. Come over here and add the new field and say the income and the number, for instance. So this is the number like this. But currently I have the error over here, so don't forget to add the comma. Now if I come to the designer, I have the automatically selected data type here based on my data type. So the data type will be automatically selected if you use the JSON. For instance, if I come to this and select this number and change it to the string like this, and if I get back inside the designer, so the data type is changed to the string, and this procedure is completely automatic based on the data inside your JSON. The designer will select the appropriate data type. So I have the F name, last name, age, and the income. And also I can use another data types that I want. So if I click on the insert, now if I scroll down, the new document is added automatically here. So as I told you, I have 3 different views. The first one is the JSON over here. The next one is the designer indeed. So this is the designer view, and it looks better, and also it is something like the designer while adding the new document. So in this mode, I can easily select the document to edit, delete, clone up to the end. For instance, suppose I want to edit this document. I can come to this and double click here. This is one method. And also I can select this and come to this button and click this edit button, no matter and no problem. So I have the age, and also I can delete that. You can see the age. I can easily delete this, or I can delete the income. So this is. And after that, I have the red color as the background of my deleted field. So this red back color means that I deleted this field and the key, but the result is not saved inside the database until I click on the update or cancel these operations and the changes. I can add another field everywhere that I want. For instance, I want to add the data after the age. Click on this. So add field after the age and name it like the books. So I want to add the books here, and I can easily select this and write anything that I want. For instance, the math, comma, the art, and so on. And also I can come to this and change the data type to anything that I want. For instance, I can select the array, the binary up to the end. If I select the array, let's see the reaction. So this is the array, and I can easily write the multiple data inside it. For instance, this is the art or art of life. And then I can add the new item inside my array and add array elements after the art. So this is, and I can add the new item. Also for better learning, and let's zoom in. So this is. Now I can say the math or mathematic. Also I can delete one item or all of the items one by one, and also I can add the new items inside my array. So if I update, now I have the books, and you can see it is the array, and it has up to 2 items inside it. And if I come to the JSON view, I have the JSON view something like this, and the brackets are added automatically to add the items inside this array. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now we learned how to use the designer to add the documents inside my collection. It's really amazing and great, but personally I prefer to use the JSON, and also you can use the designer. Everything is based on your needs and your favorite. So you can come to this inside the document and come to this and start adding the new items one by one. This is the string, and also you can select all the data types like the object. So if I click on the object, I have the object, and this is the JSON object. So if I come to the JSON view, currently nothing is added over here. So if I get back and add the next one and add and change it to the object. So this is the object, where are you? And name it, for instance, the children. This is the children and it is the object, but it hasn't anything inside it. So if I get back inside the JSON, I have the children, but this time I have the curly braces. As I told you previously, the curly braces is the sign of the object. So this is the object, and I can add anything that I want inside the object, including the list of the key and value pairs up to the end. So come to this, where are you? Compass, and inside it I can come to this and expand that, nothing inside it. And if I click on this and come to this button, I can add the field to the children or add the field after the children. So I want to add the field to the children and name it, for instance, the name, and the Tom, for instance, the first child. And also I can come to this and add the field after the name. So name it, for instance, the age, and this is the age, but its data type is a string. I can change it to the integer. So this is the integer. Also, I can write anything that I want inside this object. So I can come to the JSON and I have the children and all of this data. But as I told you previously, we can use the objects inside the JSON array. So this is the array using the brackets, and we have the complex JSON, and I use the square brackets here to add the array and also array of the objects inside the children. Let's do it. Come over here and come to the compass, and this is the children. I can delete this one and also delete this. Come to the designer. This time I want to add the children. So let's name it children, but the data type of the children, I want to use the array. So this is the array, and inside the array I want to add another object. So select this and change it to the object. So this is the object. Now I have the first object. I want to add the new data to it. So this is the name and it is the Tom. So let's select this and correct the error. And also I can select this and add the field after the name. And I have some more information about the gender and the age. So the next one is gender, and it is the female or F, no matter. And also I have the next one, and it is the age. So the age is number. I can write this and change this one to the integer or int 32. Now this is my first object inside the array. I can add the next object. So this is add field to the object or add array elements after the object. I want to add the second child name. So add the array elements after the object. Now I can add the objects one by one. So this is my second object. Come over here and select this and set it to the object. Now I can add the data here. So this is my second child and it has the name, gender, and the age. So come over here and say the name, and this is the Sarah. And also if I click over here, add the field after the name. I can use another data like the nickname or the alias. So it is the fast or anything that you want. And also I can add anything that I want. So I added two objects inside this array. And if I take a look at the JSON, I have this structure. This is my children, the square bracket or the list or the array. And also I have the objects inside it, the first object and my second object up to here. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now if I insert, so it's inserted successfully, and I have the children array, and inside it I have two other objects. Indeed, I created the complex JSON file using the object and the array, but by the designer of the MongoDB, and it's really great and amazing. Also you can edit, and if you click on the edit, so you can edit all of this one by one, like adding it. And finally I have another option, and it is the table view. So let's talk about it in my upcoming tutorial. Stay with me. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to work with the table view in the document designer. So let's get started. Firstly, I talked about the designer and also the JSON. And finally, I have another one, and it is the table view. If you click over here, so I have the list of all of my documents from the first one up to the end. And also I have all of these columns that belongs to all of my documents. For instance, if I come and select the first one, in the first document, I haven't the fname column, so you can see the no field. But in the next one, I have the fname, and you can see the value of it, and it is the 0. So if I take a look at the designer, and here and at the top, I haven't any fields here. But in the next one, I have the fname field and the value. And in the next one, I have the fname with the Alex up to the end. So if I come and take another look here, the next one is lname. I haven't anything, so it is the no field in the first document. But in the next documents, I have the fname, so the values are over here, lname up to the end. And in my last document, I haven't the lname field, so it is no field. Let's check it. Come over here and come to this one. Indeed, if I take a look, I haven't the fname or the lname here, and also I haven't the lname. Instead of the lname, I have the last name. So come to this one, and also if I scroll down, I have the no field for the last one, and the no field for the lname and the fname. So the no field means this field is not available inside this document or the current document up to the end. Also, I have the data type of the field or the key over here. You can see the Boolean array up to the end. And what about the reaction of the MongoDB against the arrays or the objects? This element is the array. So you can see its data type here, the array. And if you hover on it, I have this button here, the expansion button. Click on it. So I have two items or elements inside it, the art and the math. I can easily edit something like this and start working with this, change the data type or write anything inside it. And also I can add the new item. So click over here and add the array elements after this, or you can select the next one. And also if I take a look here, you can see it is the books. And if I click on the S2 info, so this is all of my documents. And also if I take a look here, I have another data type, and it is the array over here. And also let's come to this array, and if I take a look on these elements, these are the arrays. Let's see, click over here. I have 3 other objects inside this element or the array. You can see the children and the elements inside it. So these are the objects. If I click on this, so I have the children, and I have the Tom, male, and 13 inside it, and also the name field, the gender field, and the age field. Indeed, this view is not really great idea for working with the complex data types, and you can see it's really difficult to get started working with it. But if you have the documents with the same structure, same fields, and same data types, then you can use this one as the table and start working with the data more easier and faster. But currently my documents are different because this is the tutorial and is not the real project. So using the table view is not really helpful for me. Also, you can copy, delete, and clone all of the records and the documents one by one. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now we learned how to work with the table view, and the next step is how to find the values or search the data. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to easily find the values inside your documents using the MongoDB structure. So let's get started. First, I talked about how to write the data and how to save the documents inside your collections easily and quickly. And we learned many great tips and tricks for working with the documents, including how to add, edit, remove, delete, and so on. But after adding all of the records and the documents, it's time to search the data. Indeed, the power of the Mongo is inside the searching the data. To do that, I have the search text box here. You can see the search text box. It is by default empty, and I have some other buttons and the tools here. So if you click over here, you can see nothing by default. And after that, in the back behind, I have the structure of the data and the query to search the data. First, I need to add the curly braces, and inside it, the field name to search, the colon, and the value to search. So currently, I haven't anything inside it. And if I click on the find, all of my documents will be loaded over here because I haven't any query to search. And after that, if I add the curly braces, then leave it empty. So if I click on the find, then I have all of my documents. I have up to 8 documents, and you can see 8 documents here. And also I have other tools to navigate between the different data and pages. So I have nothing here, so it means load everything. And after that, if you want to search the data, don't forget to use this structure, the curly braces, the field name, colon, and the value. And in any condition, if you forgot this structure, don't hesitate to use this quick tip. So come over here at the curly braces, and currently I have all of these documents and the fields. Suppose I want to search the fname field. So let's write fname, then the colon and the value. The data type of the fname is string. So I need to add the double quotations here because I want to search inside the string values. So come over here and write the Sarah. This is the Sarah, and if I click on the find, so I have only 2 items, and my total number of documents is 8. But I have only 2 records and documents here. The first one is Sarah, and also the next one is Sarah. And also, suppose I want to search inside the next field and the age, for instance. So this is the age. I can write the age. But the age data type is integer based on my previous tutorials. So I can write, for instance, the 18. And if I find, now I have the Sarah with the age 18 and the Mary with the age 18. So I can easily search between the different data types, including the string, boolean, integer, number, or any other data types. And also I can search between the boolean data types is valid. So let's copy this and paste over here, and is valid. Let's try the true. It is boolean, so we have 2 options, true or false. And if I find, now I have only 1 result in document with the is valid equals to true. Also I can write the false and find. So this is 1, 2, 3, and 3 documents. You can see the 3 over here. So is valid is false, false, and the false. So we can easily use this structure. Also, we can add the field name or the column name inside the double quotations, something like this. So if I find the same result, but it's not necessary adding these double quotations for the field name, and it is completely optional. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now we learned how to search the exact value. And what about the similar value? Sometimes we need to search the similar data. For instance, I want to search every fname that has the letter E inside it. To do that, I can say, for instance, the fname. Let's write the fname here and the E. So if I write the E, then find, I have nothing over here. Why? Because this method will search between the exact matching and exact letter over here inside the fname column and the field. And if you want to search this letter between the fname, then we need to add the slash here and here. And if I come and find, no result. Why? This is really tricky. No, don't forget to delete the double quotations here and here. This is a really tricky note that I want to show you. So if I find, now I have up to 3 records because these records has the letter E inside the fname. It's not important matter the location of the E. Everywhere inside the fname, if we have the E, then we can show it here. So the Alex up to the end. Also, I can write the A, for instance, and find. So I have the Sarah because it has the A here and here, and also the Sarah and the Mary because it has the A. Also, I can search the Y, for instance, and the find. So I have only the Mary, and also if I search the R, and this is the results. Also, I can search the R, Y to find. So I have the Mary. Okay, excellent. Now we learned how to search the data. Also, we have the reset button here to reset this one. If I come to this, reset, so I have the original results and also all of my documents. And also, if I take a look at this button, click on it, this is the history of the search. So let's auto-hide this. Now I have all of these search that I can repeat them easily and quickly. I did all of this finding and searching inside my data, and also you can see the date and time and the filter or the search code. So if you search something inside it, the MongoDB will create something like this query, the fname regxpry. So if you click on this, I have the result here, and also this, the result here. And this is indeed the history of my searches. So I can do it. And if I click on this, nothing. And if I click on this one more time, I have the history and also the next one. And finally, I have the refresh here to refresh my data. Then I can get access to the refresh version of the documents. Congratulations, we did it. Now we learned how to search the data. There is another step, and it is how to export and import the documents. It's really great and amazing. So stay with me. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to easily export and import your data. So let's get started. Firstly, I talked about how to search the data inside your documents. Suppose I have this search, and if I find, so I have these documents that has the letter A somewhere inside the fname values. I have up to 3 records. Now if I want to export, this is the button, export collection, click on it. So I have 2 options. Do you want to export only the results of this search? So the search will translate it to this code automatically by the MongoDB. So do you want to export only the result of this search, or you want to export all of the data? So if I click on this and select fields and click on this. Now in this window, I need to select the fields that I want to export. You can easily select one of these fields by clicking on this or this. Easily check or uncheck and select the output. Click on this. In this window, I need to select the export file type, the CSV, comma separated, or the JSON. Personally, I prefer to use the JSON and browse. So I need to assign the name, and if I come to the desktop here and the S2 info or anything that you want and select. Now come to the export, and this is the result. Show the file. Click on it. So I have the result here, and right click on it, open with the notepad. So I have the result here. If I zoom in, so I have the Sarah, and the Mary. All of these are the results of the search. Also, you can use the Explorer, something like the Chrome Explorer, to open and view this. Or even you can right click on this, open inside the notepad, copy everything, and get inside the online editor. First, I talked about the online editor. So I have 2 editors here, and if I paste it, now come to the viewer. The type of the online editor is not important matter. Currently, I'm using the JSON viewer .stack.hu. Also, you can use the JSON formatter. So come to this, and you have this and this and this. Indeed, each item and each object is one document. So I have 3 documents. The first one with these fields, the second, and the third. Also, I have the books, and if I expand the ID and the children, so you can see the complex structure for my JSON. and we can easily do it. And sometimes we need to export all of the data and the documents. Then you can come to this button, click on it, and export full collection. Then every data and all of the documents inside this collection will be exported inside the S2 info edit. Select fields and select your favorite fields and select output. So the JSON format, select this one and the browse. Also I can come to the S2 info and select, do you want? Yes. So export. Now close this. Now if I take a look at my desktop, and this is my file, so I can copy the content inside it, or I can come to the online viewer, and here if I select the first one, come to the text and the load JSON data. Currently it needs only the URL or the JSON inside one server, but I haven't something like this. So get inside the next one, and it is the best JSON viewer and the JSON formatter.org. So select the load data, click on it, load from the URL, no, upload the file. So come over here and select this, and after a couple of seconds we have the result over here. So this is the JSON and the result. We have it over here. If I change the view to the form, so I have up to 8 records and documents. Each one is one document, and inside it the different fields in the data. Congratulations, we did it. Now we learned how to export the data to the JSON format easily and quickly. And also we can import the data. It's really simple and straightforward. Come to this button, click on the import file. So if I select the file, browse, and the JSON, and open. So I have the JSON, select this, and after that import. It's really simple and straightforward. After importing, I have all of the data, but currently I can't do it. Why? Because I have the similar data and similar keys. I have the duplicate key error collection. It means we have these keys inside my collection, so we can't add this. So come to the done, and if I take a look at my next data inside the customers, I can come, or I can get inside the next collection like the parent info. Come over here and come to this one and import the file. So browse, and this is the JSON, select the JSON and the import. After a couple of seconds I have up to 8 documents inside my collection. So 8 documents, and if I close this, so I have the students, you can see the students, click on it, and the parent info up to 8 documents, student info up to 8 documents. Now we learned how to export and import the data using the MongoDB Compass. So it's your time to go and start working with this great tool and feature of the Compass. And don't forget, if you got any unexpected errors that I didn't cover during this tutorial, it means don't be disappointed. You can easily watch this tutorial one more time until you learn it completely. And also there's many thousand websites and the online text tutorials that you can refer to them to expand your knowledge. And it is not possible to talk about everything of the MongoDB inside the single course or the single video. So if you want to be successful and professional programmer, you should be genius and try to expand and increase your knowledge. And remember, I'm talking about these methods for you after more than 2 decades of the programming experiences. The only thing you need to become the great and professional programmer is your effort. So try, and try. With the best wishes. Thanks for your time.